Do you listen to me?
We are on live.
Okay, thank you very much. Thank you, Monica, again. And for
now we cannot hear you. You mute yourself, Pedro.
Sorry. And for the second part of this session, it's a pleasure for me to introduce Professor José Luis Arauz Lara. He's one of the most valued researchers of the Institute of Physics of our university. He's a level 3 member of the National System of Researchers. He has received important awards such as the Fernando Alba Medal of the Institute of Physics of the National University of Mexico. He carries out experimental research in condensance of matter. And it's important to mention that Professor Arauz Lara has collaborated for several years with Magdaleno in both academic and administrative activities with great results for the Institute and for the university. So thank you very much, José Luis, for your participation in the Medina's Fest. And please go on with your talk.
Okay, well, good afternoon in Mexico and good evening in Germany and abroad. It's a pleasure to be in this meeting, of course, to celebrate Magdalena's birthday. And also to have the chance to see people, friends from all times. It's really nice to see Rudolf Klein. We met many years ago. We have some collaboration in those times, and it was a pleasure to work in those times. Also to see Gerhard and Yandon, Monica Olvera. I hope I'm not missing anyone, but also Mexicans, friends that we haven't seen for a long time, such as Olegario and others. So I was asked to give a talk about the makings of Magdaleno, not in science, but in other contexts, mainly more local. And so I was told to be given in Spanish. And so I prepared the talk with all these titles in Spanish. But I'm afraid that the jokes and the anecdotes will not come right in English, but I will try. So since our friends from abroad are still in the audience, I probably should be speaking in English. I hope it is coming right. Mm-hmm. So this is celebrating the 70 years of Magdaleno Medina Loyola. Probably somebody already said something about the general data. Magdaleno was born the 6th of March, 1951, in a small town called Fernandez City. But it's not really a city, it's just the name. So that is the quotes from myself. And so he's a baby boomer, a real baby boomer. He went on to grow. He went to the physics school of this university, the University of San Luis Potosí, from 68 to 72, last century, actually. Then he got the master's degree at the physics department of CIMBESTAB in Mexico City. And afterwards, he got a professorship in Universidad Autónoma de Puebla, in Puebla City, where I used to live. I was. So in 75, he got this professorship, and I just entered to this university in that year. So we met. He was my teacher of algebra or something like this. As you can see, this was many years ago. He went to the Indiana University to get the PhD, and later on to the California University in the campus of Davis to do a postdoctoral stay. Then he got a position as a professor in the physics department of Simvestab, and stayed there for almost 9 years. In 1989, he moved to San Luis Potosí to get a professorship in the Physics Institute of this university, and he's been there or been here since then. Okay, to talk about Magdaleno is a bit difficult because there are so many branches, so many roads, so many things he has done in many directions. So to choose one to talk about is a little bit difficult. So I do my best to try to show you. It was particular thought about the students and the colleagues who don't know the work in deep, what he has done in Mexico for the Mexican science. So this is the aim of this talk, to talk a little bit about what he has done concerning the improvement to the development of science in Mexico, and in particular in the University of San Luis Potosí. So I was wondering what to say about Magdaleno in this context. So I start to look about what was done or what was going on in the world in that time. And so, of course, there are so many things to choose about. So I just pick up few things that maybe is of interest. As I said, it was this, what I'm saying is mainly directed, or the recipients should be mainly the young people, the students. So in May of 1951, or in those years, was the Cold War. And so most of the efforts from, well, not most of, but part of the efforts in the world was preparing for more war. So this is the post-war times, and the Cold War was very hot. So they started to build up the H-bomb, the hydrogen bomb. It was the beginning of this development. But also in a less dramatic or dangerous thing, Alicia in the world of the wonderful Wonderland, in Wonderland. The movie of Alicia was played for the first time. I also see this very funny car that to me resembles this Beetle, the German-made cars. You see there is only one door on each side, and this opens in a different way. So this is really funny. I found this is funny. I wanted to show you. For those that are not so young, probably this Deutsche Grammophon don't tell you much. For the younger ones, don't tell you much, but for the people who are not too young, you probably remember this logo associated immediately with the classical music that in those times of, let's say, in the 70s or 60s, people attached to this were really fans of this company because they used to produce very good music. In this year, they presented the first LP, the long play disco. So it was a very nice improvement in this because before, but there was shorter time. The music was in shorter time formats. In other parts of the world, there were different things going on. For instance, in Argentina, in that year, women vote for the first time. And Evita Perón, that probably you remember the name or you know something about her, was the maker of this event. So is the leader of this idea that make the women get the not permission, but the right to vote for president and so on. In other news about also Argentina, Che Guevara, probably you know him or you heard about him. In that year, took a trip to South America, just riding a motorcycle. And the reason I pick up this news is because there is a movie that is Diaries of Motorcycles that is played by a Mexican actor called Gael Garcia. So this is very nice movie about this trip of Che Guevara that is supposed to change his way of see the life and to make the later to be a revolutionary. In Mexico, just few notes. There was a manifestation coming from the north of Mexico to Mexico City, and they travel by foot 1,400 kilometers just to claim for increasing salaries. This is a long way to walk, 1,400 kilometers. As you probably know, Mexico and Germany were at work during the Second World War. Mexico declared the war to Germany, but it was not ending. So in 1951, you see, 7th of July, which is almost 70 years ago, Mexico by decree ended the war with Germany. So we are now in peace with you guys in Germany. Also, this is for me is quite interesting and funny. In Mexico, we refer to the Club of Toby as a reference to this cartoon, this that there is this bunch of kids led by Toby. All they are male, and they fight against the girls, particularly against Lulu. And they have this secret club that they meet in a small wooden room to take the meetings. And they have this sign in front of this room, say there is no women admitted, forbidden, women are forbidden, do not enter. And so the people in Mexico call refer to the Club of Toby in this sense. But also more lately, they used to use this Club of Toby to refer to the some kind of group that are where no other people is allowed, too close to they have the Club of Toby. They refer to this, not particularly only male, but some kind of particular people. And this La Pequeña Lulú, the little Lulú, appeared for the first time in Mexico in 1951. So this is also written or translated to Spanish. And I found that this is really funny. As I said, probably the young ones in Mexico don't know what we refer when we say Club of Toby. Sorry for this. More of Mexican. You probably heard that Mexico nationalized the petroleum many years ago, but the process was ended just in 1951 with the last company called Charro. Mexico, in many years ago, they have these industries that were not just assemblers, but also they do some kind of research. And this news, it caught my attention because it refers to a Mexican student, Luis Miramontes, that was working in a Mexican company called Syntex under the supervision of Carl Diraci and Jorge Rosenkratz. I believe that this Jorge Rosenkratz is Mexican. They work in a company, Mexican Syntex, and he synthesized, this Mexican student synthesized a compound named norothisterona, which is the main compound to be the oral anticonceptive. So it was let's say a discovery or development made in Mexico, which we later lost. We are not doing this kind of research in Mexico. At least the companies do not many of this development in Mexicans only. Okay, I will skip this joke about this because it was intended for the Mexican guys. So it's about this fighter, El Santo. It's not, I wouldn't be able to, well, some people, of course, many people was born also that year. Carl Biemann, who was later Nobel Prize in 2001, and Frank Wilczek, that was also Nobel Prize in 2004. Pedro Almodóvar, you probably know him. This is a film director, he's Spanish. He has made a lot of interesting movies. And the Mexicans probably recall this guy, Ernesto Zedillo Ponce de León. He was president of Mexico. And many people, well, not many, some people probably are very, how say, grateful to him, particularly the bankers, because he rescued the banks and put the debt on the public. So they are very grateful. Okay, now I will say something not exhaustive about what Magdaleno did for the physics in Mexico, particularly in the Instituto de Física of University of San Luis Potosí. Okay, he came to San Luis Potosí in 1989, I believe in September. And 2 years later, he's appointed as director of the Physics Institute, 1992, and was in charge for 80 years. Some of the things that Magdaleno did in those times are listed here, but these are not all. These are the things that can be traced and, let's say, documented. You can find some proof in paper or something else that Magdaleno was the author of those initiatives and did everything he could to make it done. But there are many other things that we cannot say find papers or something to prove. So this is, but there are many other things that Magdaleno have done along the day. All the time he's, let's say, is an inexhaustible machine of work. He's always working and trying to make people work and pushing and so on. So in 1993, 1994, there was an initiative of the universities in Mexico to communicate among them using some kind of agreement called RUTIC. It was supposed to be some kind of antennas that communicate with universities and something like this. And the Secretary of Education, the Secretary of Public Education in Mexico was in these lines. However, in the world, what was developing was internet. So it was a big fight with Magdaleno with the authorities of the university to try to convince them that internet was the way, not the RUTIC. The RUTIC was not going to work. So that, but nobody cared and nobody paid attention, and because it was the way that the federal government wanted to do. So what Magdaleno did, it was just to communicate to the, well, in Mexico, the first university to have internet was the so-called Tecnológico de Monterrey. This is the main campus is in the city of Monterrey, about 450 kilometers north to San Luis Potosí, close to the border to the United States. So they have internet. So Magdaleno went to do the work to talk to the people there and get a direct line between the Tecnológico de Monterrey and the Physics Institute. He hired a telephone line that connected somewhere in some office or, well, in the center, the computing center of this Tecnológico de Monterrey, and a room in our institute. So in this way, we were connected to internet. And for some years, this is quite amazing because it's, in other places, it happens different, but here, for about probably 4 years or something like this, we were in the Physics Institute, the only guys in the whole university and probably in the whole city that got internet connection. So we were just connected to the world, where the other guys in the rest of the university did not. So they were, so it took some 4 or 5 years before the authorities of the university realized that internet was the way to go, and that the university already have the connection in the Physics Institute. So they took, of course, the connection and spread to the university. Also, well, this is the story with this internet. So we have internet in the university because the work of Magdalena. There was also this lack of, let's say, computing capabilities. We have these little PCs. So we were trying to do some numerical work in, let's say, more powerful machines were needed. So this is also, we have in the Physics Institute also the first center for scientific computing in the whole city. This is also a great achievement with the leadership of Magdalena. In the Mexican universities, the hiring people, the academics, it was a really, let's say, random process. Some hire people with some profiles, other people hire their friends, the cousin of the friend, the brother, the son, or the daughter of the friend, and so on. So it was a completely, let's say, not professional way to hire people. So Magdalena, so together with some of us, design a profile, the profile of the people that could be hired in the Physics Institute. That was completely different from what the practice before, and was completely different from the way people is hired or was hired in the rest of the university and other universities. And the profile was quite simple. It should be preferably young, preferably experimental, preferably, well, not preferably, they have to get the PhD and a postdoctoral experience already. So it was the very simple profile that this is, you probably find this correct, this is the way it should be, but it was not the way it was done. And he implemented this, let's say, this profile for the rest of the people that was going to be hired in the near future. Also, we have this graduate program, the physics graduate program in the institute. It was running the PhD from 1985, I guess it was when it started. But it was completely also as the hiring of the academics, the graduate program, it was also a little bit of a mess. So one of the works of Magdalena was to do it in a different way, with that, to structure the physics program, the graduate program. And in that time, this Council of Science in Mexico, who provides the fellowships for the students, they also were changing many things. They implemented this, what they call the excellency group of graduate programs, and our physics program got in this group in the first time. The Physics Institute was a bit quite similar to other physics departments. We have solid state physics, we have had high energy physics, materials, statistical physics, and so on. But And this is really the making of Magdaleno to make it a broader scope. And so the biophysics area of research was born in the Physics Institute as led by Magdaleno. We hired the first biologists. This is a long story, but this is the let's say, how it started. Now in the Physics Institute, we are not just physicists, but there are mathematicians, there are biologists, there are about 4 or 5 biologists. There are also physical chemists. This is very nice. It's very nice. We can do some kind of interdisciplinary work. It's very interesting. We live in a very old and not very prepared building for many years. So Magdaleno convinced the authorities of the university that the building of the Physics Institute should be larger, bigger, but also to remodel the whole building. So this is quite interesting and important. The building was not really adequate. It was an old construction that was supposed to be only devoted to teaching. So the labs were housed in these rooms that were mainly thought up for teaching. So many things were not working right. So this remodelation of the building helped us a lot to do our experimental work. In Mexico, we had in the last years something that is called CONRICIT, or was called CONRICIT. And this is a name that the federal government gave to us. Let me explain the other way. In another way, these publications, you know, that they are quite expensive. All these magazines, to get all these publication it costs a lot. So in order to get some, let's say, available locally, the publications, we have to pay as much money as Harvard, let's say, or the University of Chicago, or the University of Constance, or something like this. But the point is that we were fewer than people working in Harvard. So Magdaleno convinced some of the editors, the people from some publications, that they should reduce the price because we were not many. So we could not pay as a big university. So the deal was that the Magdaleno had to convince people in small universities around San Luis Potosí and make a cluster, small cluster of university, and pay for one, and pay as one for all of them. So this is a very interesting, because in this way we could get the publications more a little bit cheaper and in time. So and later on, I'm saying about 10, no, more than 10 years ago, more than 10 years later, the federal government got the same idea and talked to the different publications to say, let's make a deal to get this available for the whole country. We are not many, and pay not as many as pay just one price for all of them. So this is, I think that it helps a lot to get the inform and get available, to have available all the publications. During the time of Magdaleno in charge of this direction of the Physics Institute, 8 new academics were hired with all this procedure I told you about. And also the part of the, let's say, the interesting work of Magdaleno was to devote efforts to develop the experimental physics. Although he's not experimental, he paid a lot of attention and focus on this idea. This is probably, you come to the, I think most of you have come to San Luis Potosí. Stefan, you was also here, I believe.
No, unfortunately not.
No.
I was
Okay,
in Puebla
you're
and Leon and Mexico City, but unfortunately not in San Luis Potosí.
Yes,
I
well,
have to do this
missing.
next time.
Yes, but the other guys have been in San Luis, and you walk across the institute, you will find labs and offices and so. As you probably walk through any other university in Germany, you wouldn't distinguish the composition between experimentals and theories or computer simulation. And this is not the case in all Mexico. In most places, only, well, not only, but mostly there are theories. And now people doing computer simulations, but I believe that the composition in our institute is quite unique in Mexico.
Mm.
Well, Magdaleno has led many initiatives concerning the development of some, let's say, projects. I don't want to go to this. It's a little bit more for the Mexicans. So let me go to the other. Well, Mexico, but Magdaleno has this, let's say, this way of thinking in very broad scales. He wants to solve his problems. He wants to solve the problems of everyone. In 1990, he got this National Prize for Young Researchers, awarded by the Mexican Academy of Science. And he was selected among the winners to give the speech to address the president of Mexico in the ceremony. And so he devoted the speech to present to the president many ideas on how to support, what to do to improve the research in Mexico. From this speech, he got contact from the president's staff and asked him to present some initiatives on paper. And I should say that this CONACYT, the National Council of Science and Technology, Mexican, who supports research, who supports the fellowships to the students, now has many programs that was taken from the Magdalenos idea. So this is a big impact in the development of the science in Mexico. This is what he has done in that times. He has also contributed to the development of other groups, let's say the most important works is in the group of Laura Yomas and Heriberto Acuña in the state of Sonora. This is northeast in the University of Sonora. Also the group in Puebla with Honorina Ruiz in the Benemérita University of Puebla, and Olegario Alarcón, that is also in the audience, in the University of Las Americas. And more recently with Ramón Castañeda in the University of Guanajuato. So Magdaleno has not just devoted the time to develop his own scientific careers, his own scientific work, but also along the way he has lead and let's say trying to improve the science and the conditions to do science in Mexico in many ways. I'm just pointing out some few of them. Well, this is a short list of the awards he has got. As I said, there's 1990, the award to the young scientists. Also in 1997, he got the prize from the Mexican Society of Physics for the development of the physics in Mexico. He got also a medal called Marcos Moschinsky, awarded by the Institute of Physics of the National University. This was in '93. There's also a very renowned prize in Mexico called Luis Elizondo. It is awarded by the Instituto Tecnológico de Monterrey. This university that got first the internet, one of the first in Mexico, and from which we took the internet. And in 2013, he got the this is the award, National Prize for Science and Arts in the area of physics and mathematics and natural science, which is awarded. This is the highest award granted by the Mexican government to scientists working in Mexico. Not just Mexicans, but working in Mexico. I'm sure that Magdaleno should have a statue somewhere for all his work, but unfortunately he's unexhaustible. So according to this cartoon, you probably don't know, our friends from abroad don't know this guy. It's a well-known cartoon from an Argentinian artist. Well, not this one, but many of these. So this little guy wake up and goes to school and goes through a park, and there is this statue somewhere, someone, and he reads something here that says the inexhaustible fighter with clear ideas. And then later say, what is the merit? If he's inexhaustible, he can keep working. The point is to get exhausted and keep fighting, keep working. So since Magdaleno is inexhaustible, he doesn't deserve a statue. Let me end let me end with this picture. This is 1982. This is a meeting in Mexico City, in somewhere in the National University. This is the winter meeting. Probably Rudolf Klein was in this meeting 2 years later, or something like this. So somewhere here is Magdaleno. Somewhere, one of these guys is Magdaleno. So I presented this picture to his students a few years ago and asked him, let's point your professor here. Well, let's have a closer look. Okay, so this is, please point your professor in this picture. So they say, this is the guy. I guess that when Magdaleno got so mad when he knew that this guy was pointed out as him. I don't know if these guys graduated or not, the students who say that. Okay, I leave you as a task to discover what is Magdalena in this picture. To his students probably. Okay, so this is a series of pictures of Magdaleno across the years. 1993. This is a picture in Spain. Actually, we were visiting, I was a student of Magdalena in that moment, that time, and we were in Constance before going to Spain. So, but this is not in Constance, this is in Spain. And Magdalena looked like this. This is a picture in 1994. This is, he was attending a Gordon conference in California. This is almost 10 years ago, 2012. And this is in 2014. I don't have more recent pictures of him. But as you can see, if you pay attention to his smile, see? I think that among all the achievements of Magdaleno across his life, I believe that he found the formula, the secret of happiness. Because you see the evolution. He's now quite happy compared to this guy, to this poor guy that doesn't look too happy. Okay. That's the end, my friends. I hope I was not too boring. I hope that I sort of give some brief picture of Magdaleno. I wish I could speak better English to make you enjoy some anecdotes that couldn't develop quite well. So thank you.
Okay, thank you very much, Jose Luis, for sharing with us all this experience and anecdotes. If someone has another comment or a question, please feel free to do it.
So, Magdaleno.
Okay, of course I want to thank Jose Luis. I don't know which Magdaleno he made up in this presentation. I hardly recognize myself, but let's say particularly because I don't keep even pictures, and please share them with me because I almost have none. Thank you, Jose Luis. You are extremely generous in all your exposition. So just wanted to say thank you very much. And also to really say, I sincerely think I'm credited with a number of things that were not done by myself. Were done by the students, by the colleagues, by the university. So just to balance the appreciation, and of course, all of what you listed is really a merit of the people who were around. But I happen to be, let's say, the leader, and that's very unfair because behind there are lots of people who did wonderful things but anyway, just want to thank you because anyway, your words are mostly of and not very objective friends, but anyway, I like them, I enjoy them. Thank you very much.
Jose Luis, I realized that Magdalena's smile is a kind of temporal invariant, no? Because I was looking for some pictures of Magdaleno in the internet, and most of them are basically the same.
But yes, but the point is the smile evolved. You see, he was more.
But it was a transition in between. Okay, yeah, that's true.
So it looks like he knows. This guy knows something we don't know, and he's happy about.
That's true.
Perhaps the smile goes stronger with the amount of awards earned. So
could be.
You collect national awards, then you get more smiley, right?
Or maybe he's saying, I convinced these guys to do experiments for me. Eh?
No. Oh, it seems that he started to smile after you got a mustache.
Also, yes.
Yes.
That's also a difference.
It's the first photo I see him without a mustache.
You're probably right, Jan.
Magdaleno, wasn't there a time later when you got rid again of your mustache?
I'm sorry, I didn't hear.
Sorry. Wasn't there a time later on when you, for a certain period, didn't wear a mustache? Because I recall that. Right?
Oh yeah, yeah. And okay, it may be this time of the 1980. The picture to the left. That's when we collaborated with when Jose Luis and myself and went to visit you and Professor Klein.
No, I know. In that time you had already mustache. I recall that you had already mustache at that time. It must have been later.
But at least I didn't. Yeah, at some point I also got my mustache.
Okay, yeah.
Maybe after 70 years I should try again. Pedro?
Well, I don't know if anyone has another comment or something. I think that stories that Jose Luis told us was very nice. I have another ones like the time when I was a student. You know, we are developing the theory, the first steps, and one big experience was one little workshop in which Gerhard actually participated, and was wonderful because it was the first time that we are really at the level of mock coupling theory, and was a very wonderful opportunity for me as a student, and I really appreciate all these opportunities that Magdaleno gave me to grow as a researcher and I grow as a person, because I meet with a lot of interesting people, and was wonderful, Magdaleno. Thank you very much for all this time.
Oh. Yeah, thank you guys that did what you did, that we did together. So yeah.
Anyone else?
Pedro, I just want to say that it would be very nice if we could use this opportunity to gather to celebrate Magdalena and so on, but also to take it, let's say, more to the scientific work and so on, because it was very, very exciting to discuss everything that came out from Stefan's talk, from Marco, to discuss this more deeply, this kind of subjects, as Jan were asking about this glassy dynamics on the binary mixture with Gerhard, and all the interest about the relationship between the Langevin approach and the MCT formalism and so on. I think Thomas will give a contribution on that tomorrow, more from the perspective of the non-equilibrium extension of the theory, and let's say how to make similar developments within the MCT approach and so on. That, I think it will be very nice to start, let's say, even, I don't know, like once in a month or whatever, like having some discussions and conversations and so on. I mean, from my perspective, that will be very, very important. And I think there is no better way to celebrate this guy that with scientific work. And I think we are in wonderful conditions, probably thanks to coronavirus and so on, to make it, because we are now used to work like in this way, no? And despite the 7-hour difference and so on, I think it is very possible and so on. And I just want to thank everyone for the very nice talks and also for the scientific interest of the questions. And that's it.
So maybe I can say one word about Constance, that at least I got to know Magdalena, Constance, because I was a postdoc at that time there. And Rudolf Klein, of course, invited you to come to Constance. So from my view, so these contacts in Mexico are due to Rudolf Klein. So I want to thank him as well.
Oh yeah, oh yeah. Yeah, I Rudy, it's really great to see you again. And what Jan says, that year that I spent there, that I coincided with Jan and with Gerhard and in your group, and with you. You were an incredibly wonderful host for me and for my family. And by the way, my children are now grown-ups, and at least I saw one of them watching this because they wanted to see you again.
Actually, if I might say so, when you came with your family, you had a young child. And so this child must now be something like 35 or years old.
Yeah.
That is a very, very long time. And I also remember that this baby had some health problem. And you were very concerned about this in Constance.
Yeah.
This is what I remember. Yeah. Yes, but I mean what Jan don't just said. I mean, this is something which I saw only from a distance, but I really enjoyed that very, very much. This view I had of the young people. I mean, you are 15 years younger than I am. How you collaborated with Gerhard, with Jan, and the other people in the group, that was something, that was a very, very good and very fruitful and scientifically very rewarding time. And you were part of it, and you contributed to it, and that's why I want to thank you for that.
Oh, it's the other way around. I thank you, all of you guys, for many things.
Okay, thank you very much to everyone. I think we need to close the session, just the transmission, of course. And thank you very much to all the speakers There are very interesting talks. And all the participants, also thank you. And see you tomorrow, guys. And we are ready